So we're going to get started here. The first thing I want to ask a question by a show of hands: how many people have version 15 version 17 already? All right, Curry, you have it, and Karen, you both have it. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the things that you may have noticed about the differences between 15 and 17. Did you both start off with version 15 or an earlier version? If you can raise your hand if you did, or if 17 is the very first one. Okay, Karen, I can see you. And Curry, is this your first time working in design era software for Liberty? If you raise, let's see. I had Universal first. Okay, well, Universal is, yeah, okay, so you had the subscription-based. Okay, great. Well, it's a good idea that you came on board, because version 17 has a lot of unique features that allow production of your digitizing to be more efficient and a lot less laborious, okay? The first thing I want to, opening up the design screen, initially it looks just like version 15. A lot of things are have a very very few dissimilarities between 15 and 17. We still have the sub-menu group up here where we can actually go back and forward in steps. We still have a clipboard viewer, so if you screen capture, that screen capture will come in on the clipboard, and you click on this, it'll apply it right in here. You have your tool for generating stitches here, and of course you have an options button here which will actually minimize the ribbon, which will actually just allow you to see more of your design screen. All right, and you also have a tool that if you don't like this up here, you can show the quick access toolbar below the ribbon, which will bring it right down to here. I don't like it there because it does truncate my screen, and I like to have a nice large screen as much as I can see in my designing. When you open it up, you'll recognize some of the familiar tools. You have File, you have Home, which we'll talk about. Home was not available on 15. It's or on Universal. Version 17 has a Home. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You have Artwork, Embroidery. If you happen to be running rhinestones or some kind of spangle, you would have hotfix as well. If you see something on my screen that you don't have, don't worry about it. Our version of Sierra, we train everybody, no matter what kind of machine we have. So you may see things on my computer screen that you don't have in yours. And don't be worried. We have what's called a technician dongle key, which unlocks all of Sierra's options and features, so we can actually train on those things as they come. And you also have your view. Underneath that, we have our ribbon. Every time you click on a menu group, the ribbon changes to things that appropriate to that menu group. For instance, when we go to Artwork, we could open up a JPEG image. This is the raster section. We could open up an image. If you happen to have a scanner on hand, you connect that scanner to your computer. This capture will become active, and you can actually scan images right into the design area. You no longer have to work with your scanner software. It'll recognize your scanner, and you can scan right into the software. The save image is a screen capture. So if I have a snipping tool or snag it, or if I just hit print screen on my keyboard, anything I screen capture will become available by just clicking here. I'll hit print screen, and I'll just select something just so you can see what it does. Once I do that, I have it now. It's on my clipboard. Actually, let me do it a different way. Let me just open up. Let me just open up something here. Okay. So I'm going to hit print screen, okay? And what I did, I'm just going to screen capture this. Okay, take a picture. And then we'll go back to the software. And we can actually just paste it right nope. We'll come back to that. For some reason, Snag it's actually taken it. Okay, so we also have vector section where we can open up a vector file. Now the formats for vector files haven't changed at all. You still have WMF files, EMF, CorelDRAW files, Corel Presentation Exchange, Adobe Illustrator files, Drawing Exchange format, which is your cut files, and your SVG and PLT cutter files. Okay. Now these PLT files are for any kind of vinyl that you've been doing. You can actually open them up into the Sierra software and add stitches to them if you're doing applique, that kind of thing. Let's see, we'll go on here. We could also get from application, if you happen to be running CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator in the background of the software, you can grab the image that's on CorelDRAW Illustrator and it'll bring right in. So that's a nice feature. No big secret here. Shapes is what you had on version 15. Okay, same thing. You still have your basic shapes, call-out signs, stars, arrows, symbols, keys, and you have some puzzle pieces. These are basic shapes that you can convert to stitches or add and use them in any kind of design you're doing. You have an image editor here, which will open up, actually open up your shapes, your vector shapes. So in here you have star. You can actually choose how many points to your star, what the inside radius is, make it a little bit wider. You could also rotate your star. You could slant the angles to the star and also curve it. You have the option to whether do a line, this would be a satin stitch, or if I could do a solid, this will actually be a fill stitch, okay, a pattern stitch. So I can change and also alter the colors to whatever I want, okay? And you have also lines and you have spirals. All these were available in version 15. You also have your artistic text here. So the way it works on this one here is a little different, okay? You choose your text. Choose your size of your text. Okay. You could bold, italicize your text, and then then down here is your text. I'm at 0.10 of an inch. Let's go to 1.0. Down here, you could type in what you want to say, and then once you hit the green checkbox, there's the text. This is a graphic file. Got a question here from Curry. Do you have to have the software for Illustrator to open the files in Liberty? No, absolutely not. You do not need an alternate graphics program to run Sierra, nor do you need any other graphics program to actually create designs. Okay, I can create designs well within the design software. It does have a design editor in it, like an image editor, and we'll talk about those in a little bit later. But no, you do not need, you don't need CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator or GIMP or any of those other graphic softwares to create graphics. You can create them right in here, okay? The next one we have in artwork is actually your manual. You can actually manually create graphics, okay? And I can actually, you know, from here I can choose my fill, my border colors, the thickness of the border. So if I want to actually do like a shape, let's just grab a quick shape right here. Let's do a star. Oop. My mouse is tricky on me. Oh, let me go back to artwork and do it. So we'll grab that star. Let's try that again. For some reason, my software is a little glitchy this morning. All right, let's just grab this, Control Paste. So you can stretch them out, and then I could actually choose like a fill color, whether I want it to be border colors. I can choose the border colors right from here. I could choose the thickness of that border color, how thin it is. Okay, we could also do a fill and a border. Okay, we could also combine these vectors. Okay, we'll just do addition and we'll weld it together. Okay, so there's a lot of things you could do within the software as far as shape creating. That's in artwork. Okay, you also have an auto-generate feature here, which will allow you to, once your shape is in here, to use these tools to convert them to stitches. So the way that works is basically we'll grab that same shape again. All right. And now what we'll do is we'll actually go to, we'll click on that shape. We'll go to, let's go to embroidery. Let's choose our stitch type. That's uniform area. There we go. And from here, I'll choose the color that I want my stitches to be. We'll go navy for the fill. Choose our density. Choose our underlay. And then choose our pull compensation. We're going to go to fix soft. And then over here is our digitizing methods. You have manually, which I can actually manually create this by quick clicking and dropping nodes in. Or you have auto trace and auto complete. Click on auto complete, it gives you a magic wand. You simply click on your image and hit enter, and boom, you have stitches. Okay? Just that simple. The same tools of adding borders, quick selection tools. We have the stitch direction tool here where we can change the direction those stitches take. And then we have the border function here where we can actually add a border. Now you don't have all these, okay? You'll have none, you'll have running stitch, zigzag, E-stitch, and programmable stitch. The zigzag stitch will put a nice satin border around here. And from here we can actually choose the color of that border. We can choose the density of that border. Oh, 56, no, let's go 5.50. And then the width of it is right from here. If I want to make it a little thinner, I decrease that number, it gets thinner for me. I could also separate that border and remove it from the star. Okay? A lot of different tools that you can use with this. Okay? All right. You still have the ability to create holes in your graphic. So here's, wherever you click, and I'm just doing arbitrary lines here, okay? Not that it's going to be artistic in any shape. Boom, there's the hole, okay? Turn off the auxiliary, there you have a hole. It even borders the hole, okay? If you don't want the border, if you don't want the hole there, the border on that hole, just go ahead and go to border, separate the border, and then delete it. Okay? So a couple quick editing tools that's right at your disposal. That's all found. Most of it is found in artwork. Okay. The embroidery is another tool that you're probably familiar with 15 or with 17. You have insert, which will allow you to bring in a native DSG file. This is a design file that you created previously. You want to bring that in. You could search for it. You could also go to the catalogs and look for machine formatting. These are your DST files. You could insert a design file, like a system format file that was created from another program like Melco or the Brother or anything like that. And this insert embroidery machine format are formats that other embroidery machines like Husqvarna and Janome and Happy will all create. So you can bring in those files as well. The material, you can actually choose what you're intended to digitize for, whether it be caps, corduroy, fleece, jackets, knits, terries, and you could add to these materials in the material editing panel, which we'll show you in a little bit. The embroidery tools that you have are similar to what you had in 15. You have path tools, which are running stitches. You have zigzags, E-stitches, and programmable stitches. This path with sequin, multi-sequin, and chenille are all optional options that you can add to the software at any given time. They're in my software because, like I said before, we actually train on this stuff for other people that have those needs for. Okay. You have column stitches. You'll have column with zigzag, column with E-stitch, column with pattern, and column with programmable stitch. The fur fills, optional. And in the uniform area, these are your pattern fills. These are fill areas that fill in large shapes. You have your basic pattern with multiple different types of fill stitch patterns in that. You have programmable stitches, which are essentially just a souped-up cross-stitch pattern with some decorative elements into it. You have easy-to-create applique features, cross-stitch patterns, radial patterns. The sequin, multi-sequin area texture, these here you don't have. These are all options. Your turning area is your basic zigzags. Okay, this is what you use for fonts. Zigzag, E-stitch, and elastic pattern, and programmable stitch you get. You don't get the full fur fills. And the flexible areas, okay, these are optionals. Okay, this will not show up on your software. It'll stop at turning area and go to create stitches. You have the ability to do your lettering. This is still just like version 15 where you have pre-digitized fonts. They have added some fonts and taken away other fonts that you probably be hard-pressed to find out what they took away. But some of these are familiar. Okay, they've added maybe one or two to the library here. And now also too on the fonts, if you see a font that you like, you click on the lock screen, it'll actually take you right to a shopping cart. Question here from Kerry, when would you use an E-stitch? An E-stitch is basically a simulated applique stitch, okay? So if you're just doing like if you want to just do like I'll show you what it does. I'll go to artwork, I'll do the letter B, and we'll choose a, let's just choose a, let me see, something heavy, something like this. Let's go with a 3.5 inch, not a 50. Okay. and we'll hit the check mark. What an E-stitch is we'll go ahead and we'll select a border file, because an E-stitch would basically be, there would be material here. And when I go to embroidery and I choose path and I choose E-stitch, I forgot to delete my star. All right, what I'll do is I'll go to embroidery and I'll choose the E-stitch, and I'll choose my autocomplete, and I'll click on it. When you hit enter, what it basically looks like, just like that. Okay, it's basically just a simulated, it's a simulated applique stitch is all that is. Okay. All right, let's go back to where we're talking about here, embroidery. Also in the lettering, you have true type fonts. These are the fonts that you find in your Windows library, your font folder. Okay, you could add to these fonts for use in Sierra. All you got to do is make sure they're true type fonts. Okay, you have, and they're broken up in categories. You have symbols, script cursive type fonts, fixed pitch, Roman and Swiss serifs, decorative. You also have all the fonts that you last used, and then you have favorites. By clicking on the star, you selected this to be one of your favorites. So you can go to favorites folder, and there it is. Just like version 15. You also have monogramming. In the monogram, you have several templates. You have single letter style, single letter with motif, letter with a border like a shield, and then you have the more decorative type lettering. You have double lettering, and you have triple lettering. And they have some other ones here that you could purchase too. These are really nice. Some of these are very decorative, and they sew out really great. Again, if you like it, you click on the unlock the lock feature. It takes you right to the shopping cart. You can add it to it, and then you can actually purchase it. You can see they have several motifs or several different templates that were not available in previous versions. Christmas ones look pretty good. I could think of half a dozen people that have firemen I could put in here. So you could see how you can use these to your advantage. These are very decorative. They sew out really nice. You'd be surprised, and they're completely editable. So you can actually do whatever you want with them. You also have start and end. Your start and end points, your centering designs, and your export designs to machine, or send design to the machine, or export designs to a USB stick. All those are available right there. If you remember, in version 11 and 15, you used to have to go to the file to actually save and do all your exporting from. You no longer have to do that in version 17. Everything's right in the design window for you. Okay. A couple things that they have changed while I'm waiting for this thing to open up on the export. Right now it's building that file for me. And I have a computer that loves to bark a lounge. There we go. So we're saving a Sunstar file here. So that's how you export a design to a USB stick. Okay. A couple of things I want you to notice that in version 15, if you're familiar with it, there were some things down here in the bottom left, which were your simulation preview. You had zoom tools, which you could zoom right to an object. You had maximize zoom out, and with the drop down, you could zoom into any type of, you can maximize to the object or maximize your field of view. You had the hand tool, which was a great panning tool, which you can actually move your graphic to a different area without having to zoom in, zoom out. Your grid on and off is right here, and your guideline on and off is right here. You could also turn off different things like show stitch marks, show stitches. If I turn that off, I won't see my stitches on the preview. You can also turn on to see commands and connection points and where the start and end points are. Okay, if you had hotfix, you'd be able to turn those on and off as well. So there are your shows. In the version 15, we had over here, we had image or vector. It converted it all to auxiliary. So auxiliary is the graphic. You could turn off the view of it and turn it on. Okay, and over here you have embroidery. Okay, that's the embroidery. In the view, we have nothing's changed on the view. All your zoom tools are here. Your normal, your 3D, with auxiliary, which is your view, which is your your design, your stitches, as well as your auxiliary, which is your graphic. And you also have basic 3D right here. Okay, it's kind of like your simulation. It actually is your simulation screen. You could turn off the rulers or turn them on. Scroll bars, which are on the sides, and auto scroll regions. You can remove those. Auto scroll regions is where my cursor turns into the diamond, and then I could scroll up or down. It's in all corners and all sides. You have your snap tools where you can snap to a grid for straight angles, 2 angles, hot points, and you can release your snaps. You could set up specific snapping tools. You have a satellite view here, which is also another panning tool, where once I zoom in, let me turn on my graphic. Okay, I can actually zoom into it. I can actually, let's see, I can move my graphic. See, the way it works is if I'm zoomed in, I can move to any location. It's not working right for me right now. This continuous drawing, I'm not sure what it does. It actually populates my graphic over and over and over again. I'm not sure what the benefit of it is. Let's go into view, and what it does is I could say show continuous drawing. What it does, it repeats that over and over and over and over again. I have no idea what its benefit is. Okay, so you have to be. We'll find out what that's for, because I have no embroidery machine that'll sew a 5.5-foot design. So you do have your measuring tape here, which is different. There's one thing different. If you remember, if you drew a line across here, as soon as you released your left mouse button, that gray box would disappear. Now it stays up on screen so you can record and view for a longer period of time with the size you just measured. Okay. It also measures angle. Okay. And then if I want to go to the y-axis, I can see it's 2.259 inches in height. Okay, that's your view. Okay, let me go to select object. There we go. Okay. Another thing that has changed is in the file. Okay, nothing's really different here. You open up a blank design. You could open up a simple wizard. Opening up a wizard allows you to name the design, where to store it. You could browse to a specific folder on your computer. By the way, just as I talked to a lady this week who actually had about 8,000 designs over the course of about 8 years of doing embroidery. Her hard drive crashed on her. She lost 8,000 designs. Can't imagine that happening. Always, just as a tip, always save your DSG files to an external hard drive. Okay, Murphy's Law just happens when you don't want it to, and at the most inconvenient time. So always save your DSG files to an external hard drive. Save your DST files, the machine files, to your computer so you can access them anytime you want. If you lose the DST files, no big deal. You have the parent file, the DSG. You can just automatically resave them. Okay. So yeah, be mindful of those problems, or if little Susie comes over and spills coffee on your keyboard and starts fireworks from your laptop, it could be a bad day. Okay, anything can happen at any given time. But anyway, you can actually fill in all this information. All this information that you fill in the wizards will actually show up on the printed form when you go to File, and then you go to Print, and you have the print formats. You could choose. This is no secret here. We can actually choose the complete tech information here, print preview, and all that information will show up in the fields right here. Okay, so it'll tell you everything about it, your simulation, as well as your needle changes and all that stuff that you need to do. Okay. The other thing in File is actually when you do choose the file to save, okay, you save the design document here, okay, this will actually name the file initially. If you made some editing changes to your design, you just want to overwrite the file, you choose Save the Design Document. It'll overwrite the original file. But if you did something where you actually created this design and you needed it for a youth, and you, of course, all you got to do is shrink it down to a youth size, okay, make some minor editing to the layout, okay, but everything's pretty good. Then you would go to File, and if I choose to save the design document and overwrite the original file, and I'll lose my adult version, always choose to save design document as, so you can name this file to a different name. Okay, very important. If you are exporting this as a vector graphic, if you used a vector graphic for this and you want to do mixed media, vinyl with maybe like a glitter vinyl with a satin stitch. You can export the vector part to your cutter, or export the vector file and then import that file into your vector your cutter software. If you have one. If you don't, you could send it directly to your cutter. If you have a bitmap that you want to save, you could export the bitmap too and save it as a file and parent it with your design. You could also export as embroidery. This is the export embroidery design files. This is what your machine recognizes. Okay, this is the DST. Okay, you could also, if your machine accepts designs via a wire, you can actually send the designs to your embroidery machine. Okay, sending a design to an embroidery machine is actually not. It sounds like, wow, that would be a great thing to do. Okay, you could send the design to the machine, but you still got to get up and go to the machine and program your color changes and trace and all that stuff. So it only just allows you to send. It doesn't allow you to manage the design from the computer. Okay, you won't have hotfix unless you actually have hotfix software. Okay, but I could actually do the same thing for that. Another nice piece of information a lot of people don't even realize that they had in version 15. It's also available in version 17. It's the design property card information. Okay, this will tell me the design name. Okay, the type of design it is if I filled that information, where it's located on my hard drive, when it was created, modified, and all the other attributes. You also have job authority. I could edit this information anytime I want. Okay, and make it available for recalling at a later date. You also have your categories, okay? So the categories are broken up into letters, kids and babies, and there's even sub-menu groups. And you can add to this category anytime you want. You want to go to a new item, you click on here. A new sub-item within an item, you can do that. You could also delete ones, okay? This is a great way of organizing your design so for easy recall. In about 3 years, you'll have so many designs and you'll have so many different butterflies, it would be hard for you to recognize which one you did for that customer without it being organized and labeled in such a manner, okay? So that's a nice little feature in information. The embroidery's property card will allow you to see the embroidery design. Now this is coming up as one color. That's because my blue is in position number 3, so let me just pull it up in position number 1. There we go. Now when we go to the information cards, it'll actually look right. There we go. Now you can see the blue there. Okay. Tells me the width, the height, how many stitches are in it, how many stops, how many color changes, trims. All this information is for production information that I need to price my embroidery. Trying to get that $50 to $60 an hour out of my embroidery machine. The functions that are in there, where they're at stitch number 2,730 is a color change. Okay. At stitch number 4,894, there's another color change to do the Liberty to Design Artist. So there's two different color changes there. The color sequence, it's going to do blue first, followed by red. Okay. I click on the red, it shows me the red. Click on the blue, it shows me the blue. The variations just tells me how many yards of thread I'm going to be using in navy. It's for pricing my embroidery. 13 yards in red. Total of 20.2 yards. You can figure out the math. If you buy the king spools at 5,000 meters, you can figure it out real easy. And you could also put the price in here, the design price, and record it with the design. So you can track your pricing over the course of many years. So that's a nice feature to have. Okay, a lot of people realize that that was available in 15. It is still in 17. You could also share these designs in social networks. If you have a Twitter account, you could upload this file right onto your Twitter account and let people buy, add them to a shopping cart and buy them if you have an e-store there. There is no connection with Facebook yet or Instagram or any of those other social networks. We are looking into allowing that to happen on here. If you're doing digitizing services for another customer, you can also send this embroidery design by email. If you have Outlook Express, it will automatically open it up, and you could fill out the email and bill right from your email. To send this one here is as an attachment. This will send the embroidery design of the working window in the selected machine format. This is actually a little bit more gives them editing features if they have the same software. Okay. The embroidery production timing, a lot of people use this, but it's a great thing to have. I'm going to save this design. But what it will allow you to do is actually figure out your production costs, okay? So I'm going to save this as welcome. And in here we have our production, okay? It tells me how many colors I'm using, how many stitches are in there, how many pieces. I'm going to do 5 pieces. Say I got a 5-piece order to do on this. Machine, I'm going to choose my machine. If I have an SWF machine, just choose it right there. Let's see if I had a, let's just choose an SWF machine. I'm going to use a 1502, B Series UK 1502. Total operator intervention. This number is actually for people that how long it takes somebody to hoop up a shirt, or how long it takes for somebody to pull that hoop off the machine and put another one on. We're taking in consideration that Mary Beth is actually a new employee. Takes a little bit more time to line up the hoop, so we're giving her 6 minutes and 10 seconds. Okay. And total time for machine incidents. This is actually a grace time for thread breaks or changing out needles. You know, maybe if you're doing applique, you need to kick the frame out and put your material on, kick it back in. This number is pretty much, if you keep your machine well maintenance, should be about 3 minutes, okay? So I'm going to go down in here and just edit that. See, color changes is saying 5 seconds, so it's giving 15 seconds for the color changes. Thread cuts, another 5 seconds, so it's 18 seconds. That's where it's coming up with its, and thread breaks. So it's actually giving it 20 seconds to fix a thread break, so it rounds it up to 30. So it's coming up with a 18 minutes and 45-second time period. So total production time on a 2-head machine would be 47 minutes and 34 seconds to be 100% done. Preparation time breaks down to 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Intervention, that's that number right here. How to get that hoop off, put it back on there. Total time is 1 minute and 40 seconds. And this is actually 6 seconds, 6.10 seconds. And then machine production is actually 22 minutes per run. We got 2.1 runs, and 18 minutes overall for machine incidents. Okay. And it tells me this is my stitches per hour. I'm running 47,626 stitches per minute. So there's a total production numbers that you can use to figure out your adaptable costs to your embroidery. Okay, definitely use that. Definitely lets you see your profitability over loss. Embroidery pricing is also another tool you can actually use to calculate your pricing. So if I want to do 5 pieces, okay. And I'm going to say my garment is, let's see, my garment is, maybe I paid, let me see if I can edit this. I know how I got to do this. I'm going to go to calculate garment charge. And I could write the description here, the price I paid for it. Let me see. Okay, I have to figure this one out. So, but you can enter all your information with your garment, the sewing production time, the art and digitizing fees if they're applicable, if you're sending a sample off, and also the delivery of the product if you're shipping it or customer pickup. Other charges and discounts are applied, and you'll see your cost that you charge for the customer right there. These are great tools that you can use at your disposal within the software. You don't have to go to a different version of software to do that. Okay. I want to take a break here and ask if there are any questions so far. Let's see, we got a question here. Is the production time an add-on? The production time is an add-on, okay, as well as the pricing effect, okay. It is, I'm not sure what the cost is. Just call Coleman & Company, and they will actually talk to you about the add-ons for that. Okay. All right. No other, do you have any other questions at all? Debbie Hill, it's good to see you. All right, so moving on. Let's go into File. We got information. You also have your print. Nothing's changed in print. You can still print your designs, and I always recommend that you do print off images of your designs, as well as a sewn-out sample, whether you do it on backing or material. So you have a picture, the information about your design, as well as a visual of what the design looked like, as well as thread colors for easy recalling at a later date. Your options and preferences or your basic configuration of your software, you do have the ability to customize shortcuts for different tools in the software. For instance, if you want that hand tool, that pan tool, if you want to assign a hotkey for it, just go down to it. Let's find it real quick. Pan, there it is. I just saw it. There it is. And right now I have F1. You just come down here, you assign your function key for that, hit the checkbox, and now F2 becomes your hotkey for that. I hit close. And now when we go in here, you can see my cursor turns into a hand when I hit the F2 button. F2 again releases it. Hotkeys it's a really great advantage to use hotkeys during your designing. It just speeds up your production flow in your designing. The account, when you first install the software, you will have to go into File and go to Account and activate it. This is where you activate it, okay? It used to be on the ribbon bar when you first installed. It used to be up here. It said you had 45 days left to activate. After you install your software, you want to make sure you take a walk over to here to File, go into Account, and right here you'll see your activation. Click on it, it automatically activates your software, okay? Can you do an applique design? Kerry, yeah, we will do applique designs. After this month is over of introduction to Hotfixer as well as Liberty, we will then march right into using the software version 17 effectively, okay? So be checking back with, for the list of different tech talks that we'll be doing in the month of March. This is the last month where we'll be doing the introduction series into version 17, getting people familiar with navigating around it, okay? You also have Service Center, okay? You can log into Service Center where you can find additional information here and program resources where you can actually go on and see what's coming out, what's going in. Technical assistance, if you have a question about your software, the manufacturer of the software will respond to his technical questions, so email. You could also contact sales, okay, and actually purchase different options or actually ask questions about options, okay? You can also change registered user. If you sell your machine and your software, you can actually change the registered user as well as change license ownership to that new owner, okay? Definitely want to do that if you do change it, okay? All right. All right, moving on. Okay. There is one other tool, one other menu that is added to the version 17 that was not available in version 15 or version 11 or even all those other earlier versions, and that's the Home tool. What the Home tool does is actually an easy navigation place where you can actually add a little bit more, do a little bit more about your design that you would have to go to File for to do. Let's explain. We can open up a new design. Instead of going to the file and then choosing whether we're opening up a blank design or starting a wizard, okay, in the open series here, you can actually do it right from the home screen in new. You got Simple Wizard, Embroidery Wizard. Again, if you had Hotfix error, you would do Hotfix Wizard. You can open up a pre-existing design. You can open up a design, an embroidery machine file, which is a DST file. If you had Hotfix error, you can open up a Hotfix machine file or open a stencil file. These are those PLTs. If you had brush and bake for years and you got the Sierra software because you got an automatic Spangle machine or something like that, you can actually, with the PLT add-on, the import PLT add-on, you could bring those PLT files you had from brush and bake right into here and send them to your Spangle machine or your rhinestone machine. Okay, that's a nice feature to have. It is an add-on. It is an option you could purchase. Okay, I definitely recommend it. If you have, a lot of people will go towards buying transfers for rhinestones, and then they'll migrate from there to getting their own cutter and doing their brush and bake. They'll do that for several years, growing their business with low capital output. Then they'll need something a little bit more automatic and building their business. So they'll get the automatic machine with this design error software, and now you want to bring all those files that you did for your customers yesteryear into today for those other machine types, okay? It's a great way of bringing in some of those designs without having to recreate them, okay? Catalogs is a new addition. Catalogs allows you to open up things that used to be on the left sidebar over here. On the left sidebar, we had images, we had designs, which allowed me to open up a pre-existing design, a DST file. We had image files where we can go in and pull vectors and rasterize images in. And we also have motifs. Motifs were little decorative elements that you can use automatically already created for embroidery. Well, they put it in catalogs. In catalogs, you have three sections. You have media, images, raster, folders, and images. In media, images, and rasters, this allows you to go in and find those DSG files, the DST files, image files that are rasterized, image files that are vector, and the way they work is you just click on what you're looking for, go down to folders, and navigate to the folder where they're saved on your computer, and those image files will show up here. So if I want to do this tiger paw, it's a drag and drop still. Okay, there it is. You also have motifs for embroidery. These are already created embroidery files, embroidery designs that you can use at any given time. If you like the snail right here, just drag and drop it. There's your colors. And just come over down here a little bit, hit OK. Boom, and there's my snail. Need him just a little bit bigger. And he's already digitized. All I got to do is add text to it, and then sew it to a romper. And I just made a nice little kids design. Okay. So you have them in catalogs. You have animals and bugs. You have frames and borders. Okay. So if you want to do a balloon, call-out signs, banner signs, frames. Okay. Shields. These are already digitized. If you're doing like not pattern work, but patchwork, you can actually do that right here by choosing out your frames and borders. Symbols, okay, little Celtic symbols, and miscellaneous, 14 miscellaneous files right here, okay. These are already stitched files that you can use at any given time. Motifs hotfix, of course, if you had to have memory blocks, is if you stored your design in a certain memory block, which I'll show you in a little bit, you can call it from there. And that's your catalog, okay? A couple things you can do also in catalog is my information is my design property card and my embroidery properties, where I used to have to go to File and go to Information and pull it up there. I no longer have to go to that alternate window. I can choose the Home category and pull it up here. I could also save the file and save the file as. Remember, this overwrites the existing file if there is one, and save as lets you retitle the design. I could also go to print and go to my print format. See, I no longer have to go to the file. This is what the home screen does. I could also share my design, whether it's sending it through email, sending the embroidery design by email, or sharing it on Twitter. Okay. Another thing we have here is hoops. Okay, let's get rid of the tiger paw. Let's deal with the snail. Snail is an embroidered design. Okay, and what I want to do is I want to sew that into a specific hoop. If you go to Hoop, you can go to Embroidery Hoop, and what we have here is in the machine brand, choose your machine type. If you have the Avance machine, choose the Avance machine. There's all your hoops that come with your machine. So if I want to see if this fits in my 12 centimeter hoop, click OK. And there's my hoop. Now you can see this design is way too big for that hoop. Okay, I'll break a reciprocator for sure. So let's go ahead and go back to hoops, embroidery hoop, and we'll choose Avance. As soon as it opens up, there it comes. And let's go ahead and choose the 21-inch hoop. And there you see, I chose the right hoop. Okay. If you're dealing with cutting, okay, like a cutter, if you have the let's turn off hoops first. Okay. You could also make page sizes, okay? So if my cutter is let's see, I use a Cricut cutter personally at home. I can actually it's a 12 by 12 cutter, and if I go to page settings, I can actually add my cutter. So I'm going to click on plus sign, name it, Cricut. The page size is 12 by 12. Hit apply, and Cricut is now added. So I can go to my pages, go down to the bottom of the list here, where my Cricut is, and now I have my cutting mat size for my Cricut cutter. Okay, that's what pages is for. Okay. If you save designs in a memory block is an allocated part of your hard drive that you're actually specifically creating designs in. You can go to that list, pull up those files. I have nothing stored in there except for how does this work? How does this work? How does this work? How does this work? There's nothing in there. So, but you can actually navigate to those memory blocks here, and from here, from the home, from the catalog, or from here, from memory. Okay. Any questions at all? No questions. I must have answered. Must have did a pretty good job. Well, that does it for me. Nothing else has changed on the left sidebar. You still have your color spectrum choices here. You have your backgrounds with your fabrics on the drop down. You have background fabric, background colors. You have your pencil drawing tools. If you want to draw in a certain color, you choose the color. navigate to the actual color shown in sample, hit OK, and you could draw in that color. Okay, that's on your manual tools. This one here is, by the way, if you put your mouse over top of these tools, it'll tell you what it is. Should. Mine's a little bit temperamental. This is for hue saturation. Okay. And then, of course, your palette editor. You can actually change the palette over here. You can see this is the first color is red. This is another. I have another red, orange. So you could change this up anytime you want and add different colors into it that you normally use with. When you hit OK, it changes it over here. Okay, and you could set it as default. Okay. All right. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Nothing else has changed in the software. It's very easy to navigate. They made things a little bit more simpler to get to. And if you have any questions, just feel free to, we'll give you a minute or two to actually type in those questions. I either put everybody to sleep or I did a really fantastic job. Well, everybody, it was great having you here in today's Tech Talk. We look forward to next week where we'll actually be doing hotfix error, introduction to version 17 for hotfix error. Oh, we got a question. Really fantastic job. Thank you, Kerry. Appreciate that. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I will see you next week, next Friday for Rhinestones. Okay, Debbie, it's always good to see you. Hope you're doing well. All right, guys, you have a fantastic weekend, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.